Hi guys, it's Nick again, back with another interview. We are at Rhode Island Comic Con in Providence, Rhode Island, joined with Mr. John Romita Jr. How you doing today, John?
I play him on television, but I'm not really John Romita. Hi, how are you? My pleasure. Good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. So we're just going to do a quick little interview, 5 questions, just to kind of get a little bit back into the background of them. So what was it like, you started drawing at a younger age? In class all the time, were you just doodling all the time, your different heroes and stuff, or?
Pretty much. Seeing my father draw as a young guy, he was doing romance books.
Yeah.
We weren't really interested, but when I saw him start doing superheroes, specifically Daredevil number 12, he told me that the minute I came up, middle of the night, I was having horrible nightmares. The monsters were all over my bed. So I pulled I don't know if you know anything about the old Queens, New York houses. You used to pull the ladder down to climb up into the attic. It's where my father used to work. Middle of the night, I'm crying. I go up, and he says I walked in, and I stopped crying as soon as I saw that Daredevil cover. It was the first time I saw him doing superheroes.
Oh, that's
and
great.
He said I sat down and started drawing on the floor, and the tears said just starting to dry up. I'm starting to draw, and I started to draw more and more and more, thinking it was going to come to me, and I got frustrated.
How old were you at this part?
I was 6.
I was gonna say you were pretty young when you really got started to actually get into drawing real.
Yeah,
superheroes.
But because I started at such a young age, I was able to at least improve. It's like an athlete.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the better you get. So eventually, I learned a couple of things, and I watched him do things, and I learned what things, and I started to read other comics. So yeah, it started from that point. But it was a little bit frustrating when you have LeBron James and you're the water boy at the end of the bench, the brilliant artist, and then you can never be as good as him. And he always told me, prove to me that you can do this. There's no mystery to this. You practice, you get better.
Yeah.
And then as time passed, I got better and better. But he's prodigical. That's the word. He was a prodigy. Genius without anything before him. Nobody in the family was an artist before my father.
He's randomly got into it.
Came out of nowhere. My grandfather called him a Martian because the rest of the family were all blue-collar construction workers, plumbers. And he was drawing on the street with sheetrock shards because he had no pencils. You couldn't draw on the street. And he would draw the Statue of Liberty up from manhole cover to manhole cover. And he was 16 years old.
Jesus.
So this is a man with a prodigy. And I was never that way. I had to learn how to be a better artist because I had a genius as a father.
Like different shapes, different types of curve, all that.
Everything like that. Yeah. And then when I went to school and art classes, and then when I went to higher education, to college, some of the things that he would tell me would coincide with what the professors would tell me, but only on a little bit. No, they were talking about fine art. He would talk about design as an illustrator. And it coalesced into, holy shit, this makes sense. So I'm sorry.
No, you're all good.
This makes sense. I think this makes sense, and design sense. And then storytelling came from him. All of it coalesced, and it made me realize that I can do this, but I had to practice. And as I did more and more and more, I saw improvement, and I still have room for improvement. That's the best thing about it.
Well, I know that you have a ton of different covers. You were on a lot of ASM, Uncanny X-Men. What was your first character that you designed, even at a young age, that might have not even got published before? Did you have one that you were drawing little pumpkins or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's the Prowler. When I was 13, at the age where I was drawing as much as I could, as often as I could, as long as it didn't interfere with school. My father was, and I would do sketches and I would show Dad and so on. And he says, all right. And the artwork was awful, obviously, and the Prowler was just a mask covering as much as the face as possible because I couldn't draw features. Yeah. He says, I don't care for the art. No, he didn't say that. Stan Lee said that. He says, all right. He says, I like that name. He says, and my mother says, take it to Stan. Take it to Stan. And Stan said, wow, I love the name. I don't care for the artwork, he said, but I loved it. I had created the Prowler based on the fact that there was a Prowler in our neighborhood.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was known amongst the neighbors. We got a Prowler, folks. Be careful. Keep your doors locked.
Yeah.
And I said, the Prowler, what a cool name for a villain. But when I drew it, my father said, no, that's a cool name for a superhero. And I got credit for it at age 13.
So I did see that. So who took over drawing Prowler at that time?
My father did. My father drew the...
That's a cool experience.
It's the cover. Now, I don't think
you're giving him the assist and he's taking the three-pointer.
There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I don't think he drew the interiors of that issue. I'm not sure. Okay. He did the cover. and it was an African American character.
Yeah.
So there became, this is cutting edge stuff, because at that point, I don't think even the Black Panther was around.
Say that's the only one I'm thinking of is Panther.
So 13, it was probably before Black Panther. So having an African American alter ego, it was cutting edge stuff, because you didn't have a lot of that at that time.
Yeah.
That's what Stan and a lot of the artists were trying to do, is come up with new things that hadn't been done before. And I'm proud of that Prowler period. I'm very proud of that.
I never realized that you kind of created Prowler.
I even got credit for it. Thanks to John Romita Jr. for creating the Prowler.
That's awesome.
That's my claim to fame at age 13.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people are, playing JV baseball at 13, and you're creating people for
there you
Marvel
go.
and
I just stepped into it because it wasn't that great. The drawing was awful, but the name and the idea was pretty cool.
What's your favorite issue that you personally drew? I know that's a hard question, maybe. For me, it's your 211 Uncanny. Like I think it's just because of there's so many different, obviously because it's that year that there's so many different homages of that kind of.
Okay, all right.
Deal. You know what I mean?
But on a different level, if I had to choose the art and as well as the story, one issue, it's got to be the 9/11 issue. Issue 36 of Spider-Man.
Okay.
The importance of it because of the horror of that time.
Yeah.
Scott Hanna and I and Joe Straczynski probably did something that the three of us don't remember doing it because it was such an awful time. And we did something without benefit of anything other than giving to a dedication to the firemen, the police, the sanitation workers, the military. They were the superheroes, and the idea was that the superheroes in the Marvel world were helpless. That image of Spider-Man holding his head like I can't do anything, and then the real heroes came about. I'm more proud of that than probably any one issue in anything I've done, and it's not because we tried to benefit from a horrible, horrible attack, but because we did honor to the people that deserved being treated like superheroes.
That's awesome.
I take great pride in that.
Last question: is this your first ever Rhode Island Comic Con?
I believe it is. My first time to Providence as well.
Really?
Great little town. I love it. Love it. Being big. You said you're from Philly, New York City. You see smaller cities. Say, this is the way it's supposed to be done.
I know, it's so clean. It's so clean.
Oh my
you don't
God.
see trash everywhere.
People are smiling as they walk down the street. That's not New York. I know that.
Hey man, we were just in New York 2 weeks ago for New York Comic Con, and it was not like that whatsoever.
It's like a giant ant farm on drugs.
Oh my God. New York
Pardon me, anybody in New York. I apologize, but it's what it's like.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in. John Romita Jr. All of his socials and everything will be down below. Come and catch him at a convention. He has beautiful, let's pull one up. Beautiful headshots that he does for $150. Original art. I mean, you can't beat that.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mean to insult the people of New York. I'm saying the traffic. Please, New York City people. I'm a New York.
Do not come for John at this point.
Don't be upset with me.
Thanks, guys. This will be posted on Instagram exclusively. Check out our reel. See you later. Have a drink on the Galaxy.
Salute.